I would like to introduce our next panel and our senior panel's member. I think it's the first time we're doing something like this, and I'm not sure that even it has been done in any event before. We made here a panel of the conference organizers. It's like the panel for the panelists. I can't explain it how rare it is. Let's invite here for no further delay. First of all, Mr. Julian Graves. Julian Graves, straight from London, my friends. Julian Graves is the chairman. Julian Graves from London is the chairman of Clarion Gaming. He heads all the gaming conferences, starting with ICE, which, in my personal opinion, I think it's the number one gaming conference all over the world. Yesterday, I was speaking at my home with Julian, and he told me that in 2009, they even thought about canceling this event because it was such a flop. And I can imagine, and sorry to say, it's not exactly, maybe not 2009, 2011. But, you know, it's unbelievable to think, you know, ICE, I believe, is the most dominant event in the gaming world, in the international gaming world, in the expo world. And I'm so proud to have Julian here with us on stage and in this exciting panel. So this is first Julian Graves. Second, Eman Police. Come join us, Eman Police. Again, for the first time in Israel. And it's really, you know, in this era, when Israel, you know, is like to be, you know, in all the news and everything, to have these nice gentlemen here, joining Ilan and joining myself here and the team, it's something which is, I really appreciate, and I'm really happy. So I'll let you know a bit about Eman Police. So Eman is the organizer and one of the founding partners of Sigma. Sigma, it's called the Summit of iGaming in Malta. Very, very nice event. I was there this year, not for the first time in Malta, but the first time in Sigma. I was there with my colleague, Advocate Mayandana, here. And we met Eman, who showed us around Malta. And Malta is very similar to Tel Aviv. I believe even more that in Malta, a large percentage of the GDP is made from gaming, gambling, of course, legal gaming, gambling, and also they have a very strong Maltese Financial Service Authority, the MFSA, and some of them are here with us this afternoon and this morning. So I'm happy to have Eman here to tell us more about Sigma and about his plans for the next years. This is Eman Police. Thank you. Third, I see her there with her mom. Where's the mom? Hello, mom. Hello. This is, guys, I'm so proud. That's not the first time in Israel. The first time was in the previous Go Gaming event half a year ago. That was the first time. Now we have the second time. Anastasia Lodi. Anastasia, the only woman in this panel, though in this event, if you can see the pictures of the speakers, and if you remember, I believe that we tried to do, as we say, a reverse, to put also lots of women in the front. In this event, we have, yesterday she didn't like, I called her the queen of iGaming, but we have here the queen of iGaming, Anastasia Lodi. Anastasia comes from a boutique event organizer called Copperberg. You know, it sounds to me like a name of, I don't know, of a novel writer or someone, or a scientist, Copperberg. And these guys sit in Stockholm. I met their founder, Magnus Lund, a very creative guy, similar a bit to Ilan Yaron, the CEO of Miidע, but, you know, in other ways. And last year, I was the first time in the iGaming forum after Dr. Planster told me about that. So I went and we spoken, and I can tell you, and we'll speak about this on the panel, so I don't want to say now too much, but I met there Anastasia, and she will also tell about the iGaming forum. That's Anastasia. And last but not least, the guy that, due to his efforts, we are all here, Mr. Ilan Yaron. Ilan Yaron, the guy with that looks like a bit like Sean Connery. You see the resemblance? You know, a bit more handsome, Ilan.
Queens and kings of gaming.
Yeah, exactly. No, the queens, yeah, queens of it. So Ilan Yaron is heading Israel's most important and most prominent theme event production company. They do 30, 40. When I see all the brochures that they send, I count 40 events each year. And their events are not only iGaming. Actually, that's the third time that they do iGaming. Normally, they do digital, mobile, e-commerce. Also, they do also on cars and restaurants. Sorry to say offline, some stuff that I'm not sure how much interest all of us here. Sorry, of course. But anyway, they do a good job in digital events, and they are our partners for these last two events, and I really enjoy working with them. So without further delay, as I told you, this panel, and let's see if I can take it with me, or I will do it like this now. Yeah, okay. Let's see if it works. Does it work? Yeah, perfect. So now I'll join the panelists, and I'll tell you what is so special about this panel. Okay, so as I said, that's the first time that in a gaming event, we put on one stage the producers of the leading gaming events. Now, why is it interesting? Because I believe many of the people here, okay, so some of them are coming to here, and some of them are going to start, but the most important thing is that many of them are going to open, or either they open, or they're already working and operating their own gaming platforms, or Forex platforms. I see here in Sydney, Ifargan, you can see it, Sydney. Sydney is joining us in the panel afterwards. Many of them are opening their own one. Sydney is now CEO of a binary options platform. And many of them are coming to all of these events. You know, my wife, Einat, she sits here, she all the time asks me, come on, what's all these events are about? Why are you half of the year outside of Tel Aviv, or 1/3 of the year outside of Israel? And of course, I work from there, and I do I'm trying to take care of all the regular affairs of the office from there. But what is more important about this is that all of these events have such a good influence on our industry. And this is why I want all of these nice people here. So let's start. Without further delay, I want everybody of you a bit to introduce themselves and tell what is special about his event and where his company and events are going in the next few years. So we'll start with Mr. Julian Graves. Thank you.
Thanks, Tal. Firstly, let me say I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for not only the invitation, but for looking after me so well. So thank you. Delighted to be here. Clarion, our gaming business is just a part of a wider events business called Clarion Events. We operate globally, so we have offices in the UK, Holland, Turkey, South Africa, Singapore, the US, Brazil, etc., etc. So gaming is just a part of what we do. Our main events are ICE, obviously, which partly through our own fault, but also through competitive action, nearly didn't exist after 2011. I talked to people over at the break if you're interested. We run EIG in Berlin, Gigsy in San Francisco, both for the online and iGaming markets. We're now running an event in Miami for the Latin American market. And then we've run events in Japan and Brazil in preparation. Don't hold your breath, anyone, for the opening of those markets. So I guess that probably encapsulates what we do is different types of events for different markets at different stages in their life cycle. And we deliver those events in different ways, depending on where we are and what the specific needs of the buy and sell side audience are at that particular point in time. And that's what we tend to focus on.
Thank you. We'll return to Julia later because I'm sure that many are curious to hear more. Now we got a man from Malta.
First of all, yes, I really, really appreciate the invitation to come and share some thoughts. And I must say I am humbled to be sitting here rubbing shoulders with the likes of Julian, who's been running, you know, such a humongous show back in London, which is ICE, but also other events like EIG and other events. But what makes what we do back in Malta slightly different? Correct me if I'm wrong, Julian, but probably you can take EIG and you can relocate it to other cities and the show would still survive. But what makes Sigma different is the show is unique to Malta. So it's not only a showcase on the gaming industry, but it's a showcase on the gaming industry specifically to Malta. So unlike EIG and probably other shows, you cannot just take Sigma and put it somewhere else. The show will just die a natural death. Or else change. But it's, I think, more than just changing a name as well, because you have also the content of the conferences sheds a spotlight on the gaming industry in Malta. And some people might ask, why Malta? Let's keep in mind there's about 300 gaming companies, close to 500 licenses in gaming. And you have over 10 or around 12,000 people working in the gaming industry in a radius of 5 miles. So in such a small location, not in the whole country even, in a radius of 5 miles, you have over 10,000 people working in gaming. And with Sigma, I mean, it's an idea that had been brewing in a lot of people's mind in Malta. Why don't we have a show here? Why do we always have to, you know, ship our stands and go overseas, and a lot of expenses with flights, with accommodation, with this and that? I mean, that's fine, that's great, but let's also have something in Malta. And I think with Sigma, that's what we did. We provided a showcase where the industry can meet, where companies who have their offices overseas and offer, for example, a white label service, but they want to speak to the operators. Now we provided one opportunity where once a year they can come to Malta, network, and do business. But probably I think I'll speak more as the time goes by, and I'll let the others introduce what they're doing.
I hope that Iman already gave you some appetite to visit Malta, because Malta, it's not like London. It's less popular. From Tel Aviv, there is no direct flights. There is flight from Air Malta, but it's like twice a week, and it's quite rare. So normally you fly either through Turkey or through Greece, but it's quite even with all these connections, it's not that headache, and it's worth it. That's about Malta and Iman with an E. Now, as we said, we're sitting here with Anastasia. So Anastasia.
All right. Well, yes, Anastasia Lodi is my name. I'm the commercial director with the Nordic iGaming Forum, which is the oldest and the only industry event covering in our region on the entire Scandinavia. So I'm really happy to be here. I'm honored to be invited second time, and it's my last day in Israel after 1 week of, we were touring the country with my mom, so I came here for pleasure. And I have a plane in about 2 hours from now, so let me keep it short. Yeah, well, when it comes to our region, we're observing interesting trends in Scandinavia. We are at the tipping point of when the, well, we all know that mobile is the new online. And, online gaming, gambling turns from a very niched activity into a mass market, which obviously turns the entire market into something humongous, big, and we've been observing this huge mergers and acquisitions, turning big companies into, huge colossums, and it does affect the international landscape, and we all know that Scandinavian market is one of the most well mature and well profitable. So our event is taking place, usually we host it middle of April, which is spring. The weather is not as nice as here, however, but usually we are about 200 people or so, and those are primarily operators, local operators, private and national lotteries, covering on the recent trends and troubles. So this time I'm going to be talking, of course, about the regulation. Technology innovation is, again, something we're all hungry for, the business, and if there are any solution providers here in the audience, you're all welcome to come step in and share your innovations with our market, our Nordic operators. Well, that's just really briefly about what we do. Otherwise, of course, the portfolio of our company is wider, and gaming is just a part of the digital platform that we cover on, which is also digital security, digital transformation, and all these things, they cross and they affect each other. And you will see these trends in the agenda for 2016. So everybody is welcome to the Nordic iGaming Forum. Just check the website.
Thank you very much to Anastasia. And as we said, last but not least, I have the honor to sit here with the founder and the owner of Meda Conferences, Mr. Ilan Yaron, and I would like to ask you even, Ilan, because you're already dealing with so many verticals as we spoke, small and medium businesses and restaurants and cars and almost every interesting sector that you can do a theme business. So I know there's a crazy guy who approached you, I don't know, a year ago and told you, come on, let's do it together. Why did you enter this business and what benefit you think that Meda conferences can bring to this sector?
Thank you, Tal, for your question. First of all, hello everybody. Thank you for coming to our 300 conference number in the Go Gaming. Thank you very much for the IMGL panel and colleagues, my friend, that honored us. Thank you to my colleagues. This is really a unique panel of conferences organizer in order to talk about future trends in events organizing in gaming field. As you asked, Tal, Middle Conferences is very well known in the business community in Israel because we do conference in various fields from real estate to IT to finance and a lot of digital. We have a series that's called Go Digital that had already 4 Go Mobile conferences and the 5th one is going to be in January. We had already 4 Go E-commerce conferences that the 5th one will be next year. And it was just natural to make a Go Gaming conference as a continue to the series, because the gaming community, as I know a bit now, is a very warm, interesting, and welcoming community that we thought that we might contribute to gaming conferences and summits in our unique approach. Special thanks to you. If you wouldn't approach me a year ago with your crazy ideas, we might have delayed our entrance to this field. So thanks for this.
Thank you, Ilan. Thank you for your honest answer and straight to the point. Okay, so now after all of us know each other and know each one what they do, let's speak about different audiences and different crowd. Okay, I believe many of the people here, or not many, but I believe most of the people here have been in trade shows all around the world, because in this specific industry, that's part of the business. To see and to develop, to network, to meet new clients, to meet new suppliers, that's part of the business. I believe in this business even more. You know, being in about like 20 events a year, you see different cultural, differences between people. I would like to hear from each one of you in what aspect you can see cultural differences and how its company is accommodating these differences. Because I know there are people, you know, like Clarion has in Japan, and of course you. And I want to again understand how you see these differences, shed a light on your activities. Let's start with, we'll go by order.
Well, I mean, you can't get more different than Japan and Brazil. I mean, the culturally worlds apart. So I guess the common thread and theme for those two countries is the stage they're at with their legislative process. And just listening to the talks before, actually, I think there was a group that was missing in terms of who needs educating. It's not just the regulators, it's the legislators, many of whom really haven't got a clue what they're talking about, and hence the rubbish regulations that this industry finds itself working in sometimes. So that's the common theme between those two jurisdictions, but then in terms of how you present the content, the type of content, has to absolutely play to local and or regional requirements. And then how you run it is extremely different. It's very, very formal in Japan and really very informal in Brazil. So,
can you give examples, Julian? Because you told it to me, and I want to understand. I'm sure people are curious. You know, also in the Forex industry, there's a Finance Magnet Summit in Tokyo, which is very formal, and a very similar event in other places. I want to hear examples.
So in Tokyo, we had 3 members of the Diet on a panel just like this. But each had to be given a certain amount of time to talk. It's very rare for Japanese politicians to do this. So, and it was all very strict in terms of how it was organized, how people were invited. It takes a long time to do that. You have to start very early. I think it took 12 months to organize a conference, which is unusual in many circumstances. But they work very closely with you, and then it has to be, you know, everything on time, everything bump, 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 bump. And if something goes wrong, then, you know, there's a problem, and, you know, and one has to behave in a certain way. In Brazil, hey, you know, if people turn up on time, you're lucky, and actually, let's just go with the flow. And, you know, and if I'm the keynote speaker, I'll confirm in the morning of the conference, as opposed to 3 months in advance. So, and you've just got to be aware that these things are going to happen. And the way that we do that is work with local expertise. So we don't pretend to know everything. Absolutely not. So we work with partners in Japan. We work with partners in Brazil, as well as our own office there. Our event in Miami, we wouldn't pretend to know the best way to run an event in not only the United States, but in, I guess, the gateway to Latin America, which is Miami. So we have a local partner there who we then bought, so Urban Exposition. So that's how we tend to do it, rather than relying on, you know, the British way, which, quite frankly, is not always the right way.
So what I understand from Julian, that actually the headquarters are in London, you have local partners in all around these places, and you do the job together. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yes, similarly, what we noticed, well, at least in Malta, where you have an ecosystem which has all the pillars in the gaming industry. I like to distinguish between 3 or maybe even 4 pillars, where you have on pillar 1 the affiliates or the publishers. On pillar 2 you have all the operators. Pillar 3 you have all the solution providers, including the lawyers, the white label, the translators, accountants, all the solution providers. And then the 4th pillar, you have the regulator, people like the MGA and other bodies. And what we notice is the distinction between all these pillars. The more time goes by, the more it's shrinking. So for example, today you have an affiliate who 3, 4, 5 months down the line is becoming a very successful operator. So this affiliate won't just go to a conference that is catering just for affiliates, but he would also want to see, listen, I want to do some shopping. I want to see which white label solution best fits my needs. And with Sigma, that's what we did. We tried to create a show, despite, by the way, despite a lot of resistance, we tried to create a show that is 360, provides a 360 spotlight on the gaming industry. So we welcomed the affiliates, we welcomed the operators, we welcomed solution providers, we welcomed the regulator, and we tried to create a networking platform for all of those to network and do business. First reaction, it seems like it's working, and we're happy to keep the same formula. But talking about the way you do the event, at least in Malta, we found that organizing a string of networking events works really well. It's befitting for the territory. In Malta, the atmosphere is very relaxed. So you don't find a lot of C-level executives wearing suit and tie. It's more jacket, jeans, and I think these networking events go hand in hand with the atmosphere that you tend to find in offices back in Malta. So what we do during the show, besides having an exhibition and 4 conferences, we also organize, you know, a networking poker tournament. You know, we have like 6 different networking drinks throughout these 3-4 days.
The poker tournament in Iman's event is something legendary. You can see really executives from all the operators sitting, playing against each other. Very interesting, very nice, and very, very legendary. And exactly as Iman said, what is very interesting about his event, which is not the only event in Malta, by the way. There are 2 events, and what's special about, both of them are good. But what's special about Iman that Eman Sigma is like a very good mixture of both networking and lots of expo booths, rather than only a seminar. Very nice. As I said, there's good and there's enough places in such a place like Malta, which is so dominant by gaming for few events, and I really hope that Sigma will go bigger.
Yeah, but also another thing, which I think makes it unique, the need for networking events. Let's say there's a C-level executive who's coming, to Sigma. They don't just want to attend the show. They would also want to meet as many companies who are based within this 5-mile radius. So the need for dinners, the need for networking drinks, the need for a closing event, I think it makes it even more relevant to a context like Sigma.
Thank you, Eman. Thank you, and again, I welcome you guys to come also and put Malta on the gaming calendar. Again, it's not London, it's not as chic as Barcelona or Berlin, but really it's not less enjoyable, and I believe that many of the people who have been there and have been delighted by Eman's hospitality will think the same. Next, Anastasia.
Right. Yeah. Does it work? Yeah, good. So yeah, I just wanted to say that our forum is, it's not a show, it's not an expo, we call it a forum, a summit, so we're, maximum 250 people usually. And it is very intimate in a way, and very targeted towards certain titles. So we really try to adapt our contents to the specific needs of the audiences that we gather. And for example, this year in April, we would be designing the agenda towards, and splitting the agenda towards into different breakout sessions towards marketing needs, security needs, innovation that I've mentioned, and so on. So again, being the only event in the market, we know our attendees, our stakeholders pretty much by name, and it's like one big family. Yeah, there are a lot of new companies appearing every year, so it's like welcoming new members to the family who are a little more laid back and more maybe proactive, interactive. They have to be different. But in general, we just try to stick to their specific needs, and that's how we form our agenda. We really call up our operators, people that we know personally, and ask them for what they want to hear about. So we don't, like I said, we only run the show in Sweden once a year, and we don't have any cultural changes except for the fact that Swedes are really quite reserved, so it's hard to get their, real clear point on what they think. Like this, ask people if they have questions or if they have any feedback, they would never give it straight away like that. But yeah, in the private conversation later on, they usually do. We try to stay close to them, and we have this various digital activities that link the kind of give the update to our stakeholders during the year between the events. Lots of different downloadable materials, networking tools. Again, our event is famous for networking opportunities. Again, C-level networking opportunities mainly. So that's what we do. That's why people attend.
Thank you, Anastasia. And I was disappointed to hear that this year it won't be in the Barnes. How you say it in Swedish, the name of that hotel? Berns. That's the Swedish accent that they don't have. Berns. But they say it with an S, but you pronounce it like sh, right? Yeah, almost in Hebrew. Last year it was in a it was the first time I was in Sweden, and it was like an old hotel, but this time it will be in a converted theater, right?
Well, we've just changed the venue that we used for 6 years in a row. But that's exactly for the reason that I mentioned. We were going to run a number of parallel sessions towards different, needs or different topics, and that's why we've changed the bench salon. It's very interesting. It's a former cinema hall with previously was some sort of private booth for the movies. So this is where we're going to host the workshops for. Dedicated workshops towards. So
maybe it'll be better than the bounce that has smaller. I can tell you, actually, the people, as I said, the crowd, the audience in the iGaming forum. First of all, the speakers are all widely international speakers. Some of them are here with us today. The audience. We met one of our larger clients there, catering for the Scandinavian clients. Lots of casinos operating with Maltese licenses, operating from Sweden, operating from Malta, and getting from the Swedish, and also other binary options like Tradeologic was there last year, and other companies. And you had also in parallel it was called the World Lottery Forum, right? It was the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I forgot to mention that we cover both on the private and public sectors. So that's probably the only time when people actually let their emotions out when they discuss the changes and differences of how these two worlds function. Yeah, and that's what we're going to do next April too.
So thank you, Anastasia. And ending our delightful discussion is Ilan. And we had a dilemma, I had a dilemma, if I want to raise this topic, because personally, I'm really doubtful regarding this specific issue. And this is look, sorry, this
last conference we do together.
Okay, we're speaking about virtual events. And Ilan has a startup. Ilan is also an entrepreneur, not only a CEO, founder, and owner of a very successful events and production company. Ilan has a startup regarding virtual events. Now for me, you know me, I believe most of you, I like events because you get in, you meet people, you speak, you network, and you learn and you teach. Ilan has an idea how to make it even more integrated with digital platforms and how virtual events can happen. And he has a startup regarding it, and I would like to hear more, and maybe you will be convinced. That's fine.
Thank you very much. I would like to present you a short film about a startup that we have in virtual world conference world. I know that this is an old notion. It started before 2000 and it didn't rise up the virtual conferences so far, but I think that it will happen again with the right way, the right UI, the right UX, and as the world getting more global. I wish to show you a 4-minute film that presents for the first time Confplace. Confplace is the place for virtual conferences. So, please.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Ila, I'm CEO of Confplace. And before we begin, I would like to share with you something that happened to me. A couple of years ago, I went to Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. It's an amazing place. You know, it's the only place in the world with over 50,000 people and no lines to the women's bathroom. It's heaven, seriously. No, seriously, it was a great experience, and most importantly, a very valuable one, where I met a lot of important business connections. So naturally, afterwards, I started looking for other events I could participate in. And I found TechCrunch, the Web, CES, Web Summit, hundreds, if not thousands of events I wanted to go to. But I can't be flying around the world going to conferences all the time. And it turns out it's not only me. In average, 95% of people who want to attend a conference end up not going because of distance, cost, and time. Think of all the lost networking, with 95% of the people at home with no way of connecting and networking with each other. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, it's 2013. People are learning online, finding love online, crushing candies online. They should be able to network online. Now, I know you're all probably thinking about LinkedIn right now, which is an amazing tool, and it's the first place I go to after I meet a business connection for the first time. But when I network, I want to really be able to engage with people in a live space where everyone is there in order to network. Just like I did in Mobile World Congress, just like we're all doing here today. I don't want cold calls. I want warm human interactions. And this is why we created Confplace, the first platform that delivers real-time networking in conferences online. Now, we've been running Confplace in a closed beta this summer, and we're very excited to launch Confplace here tonight. And share it with you here for the very first time. Here it is.
Confplace brings the conference experience online, allowing you to attend any event in the world without leaving your desk. One click and you're at your favorite event, meeting people like potential clients, partners, and colleagues, and even exchanging business cards. You can use smart matching to find the people you really want to meet. While all the talks and sessions are available for you to choose from. It's a live experience where you actually visit booths, attend talks, and chat with others online. Join Confplace and get the real conference experience without leaving your desk.
Thank you. So with Confplace, online networking is no longer about cold calls. It's about warm, personal interactions. And events on Confplace are extensions of physical events with more time to network and a lot more people to network with. You remember those 95% who didn't make it to the event? Now they can all be on Confplace networking. So where's the money, right? Well, the way Confplace works as a platform is that we partner with conference organizers and we allow
So thank you, everybody. And, you know, we're already like 25 or 30 minutes late in the agenda. We'll try to, that's again the Israeli way of doing it. We'll try to shrink it and compensate in the next panels. 1 minute for each one of you. And then Ansa says off to the security checks in the airport. Yeah. So 1 minute, and I would like to ask you, you saw a virtual event. I tell you, it looks good. I would like to hear what each one of you thinks about the future virtual events.
What do I think? I think if you look at, take ICE for example, there are 26,000 people go to ICE from 133 countries. Every single one of those people has got a different set of needs and objectives from attending that event. I think it's incumbent on event organisers now and going forwards to provide tools that help those 25,000 people to find out and do what it is they want to do in a way that suits them best. So it's not about me, it's about what my visitors need, how are they going to get it, how are they going to get it most efficiently and effectively, and then providing the environment for them to do that. And that can be live or digital, it could be a dinner, it could be a nightclub. I mean, there are all sorts of different ways for people to meet, and there are all sorts of different ways that they want to do it. So virtual absolutely has a place, without a shadow of doubt. I guess the challenge is no one's cracked it yet.
You have supporters, Ilan. Eman.
I definitely share the same thought with Julian. I actually look forward to seeing the second part of that video. The interesting part where, you know, the money comes in. So I look forward, obviously, to have a word with my friend later on.
Thank you, man.
I think the money will come. If it works, then I think people will engage with it, and if people engage with it, then that's where the profit is.
Right, absolutely. I agree that digital is the future. It's a must during the event, pre, after. You have to smartly implement your tools, and it has to be, again, individualized. So nobody wants to mingle with a, you know, some sort of anonymous chat. It all has to be towards, you know, again, the real needs of your stakeholders. And we also work on that, try to implement some apps and online solutions, sharing functions, and so on. And yeah, again, social media, of course, is the future. This is something where you've got to be present, and you have to utilize that in, again, a very individualized way, I guess, which is hard.
Thank you. Ilan, I would like to hear from you, and please summarize this panel.
Well, it's not easy to summarize first-time panel ever in 1,000 conferences, summits, expo, and games. I think it was a very interesting summit panel. Thank you very much for my colleagues that came especially for this panel, because you usually organize conferences and not attending them and flying especially for them. hopefully to see everybody last year with more conferences organized. Special thanks to Clarion that came especially with a very busy schedule, and to Mr. Iman Paul from Sigma, and of course to Anastasia, second time in Israel, and to our great moderator, Tal the Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.